Alright, g'day, hi and welcome. Okay, so I'm just making some videos. Nikon D100. My old battle axe of a camera here, 20 years old. Definitely want to retire this thing, but I'm not get rid of it. I'm going to keep this thing probably till the day I die. But I definitely want to retire this thing and get something newer and better. And I'm looking at all the new whiz-bang cameras. And that's all fine and dandy, you know. But what worked with this camera for so many years, okay, I'll give you an idea of some of the lenses I had. When I first got the camera, I bought a prime 50. I had a 24 to 50 at one point. I don't remember if I had them at the same time. And I bought a 35 mil. Or no, it was a 24 to 35 and a 50 mil fixed. And a 70 to 300 with a macro feature. And I still have that Sigma 70 to 300 lens. Not the greatest wildlife lens, but it's gotten me quite a few cool pictures and stuff like that. And it did that, so I kept that one. And I lived with those lenses maybe for the first few months, and I was like, I really got to get something better, something that's just more useful, because I was taking pictures of bands and stuff like that in bars, and I found the 50 mil worked great, but you know, like there was always people in your way, and you couldn't get close enough, and you could get really nice bulk shots and stuff like that with it. I think I had like a 1.8 lens. It wasn't the sharpest of 50 mils, but it did the job. You know, it was good. Anything under 2 to me is like, you know, you can get some good. If you get like a 1.2 lens, yeah, it would be phenomenal. But what I found was I needed something with more versatility. So I wanted a zoom lens, but I didn't. Most of the zoom lenses, you just have so much trade-off that you got to do. Like extreme focal lengths are a vine and a vice. It gives you great for like if you're doing like say news photography, where you just got to get the shot. It doesn't have to be an award-winning shot. It just got to get the shot. You know, you're doing the office photos. You're doing even candidates at a wedding. You know, those aren't usually the photos that get printed out into, you know, put on the wall type of thing. You're doing, you know, just walk around, you know, city photography, that kind of stuff. Pretty much any zoom lens will work, but some zooms are better than others because having like a wide-angle zoom lens like 24 to 35 doesn't give you much. You know, it kind of gives you the worst of both worlds, where you have a zoom, and the best way I can describe it, okay, if you have, say, a 24 to 35 millimeter lens, okay, so we'll say that's about 24 millimeters, okay? If that was a prime lens, you'd be seeing a photo about that wide from fingertip to fingertip. Okay, and the 35 would be somewhere around there, and you'd see the photo about as wide fingertip to fingertip. Okay, now when it's a zoom lens, now you're at 24 fingertip to fingertip, and to get that 35, that's your picture view right now. So you trade off the size of your photo the longer you get. So when you see those 18 or 16 millimeter to 300s, okay, it's like, okay, yeah, you're getting this to this. You know what I mean? You're really missing out, where if you were to have a regular 16, you would have this, and if you have just a fixed 300, you have this. You know what I mean? So a lot of people don't realize that's what you're trading off, which also creates other problems such as barreling and pin cushioning and vignetting and stuff like that. And this lens doesn't. This lens was a really good compromise lens. And now Nikon makes new lenses that are even longer. Like this is 18 to 70 mil, and it's any longer would be too long. Any shorter would be, you know, like you can do landscapes, you can do portrait, you can do wedding photography, and you can zoom enough to do whatever. I really don't want a lens any longer than that for a zoom, because that is so useful. Some might go to 85 mil or whatever. Some are 100, you know, 18 to 100, 18 to 85, 18 to 100, 18 to 105, 18 to 200, 18 to, now I think there's like 16 to 140 or something like that, or 24 to 140. 24 to 140, that's a useful lens, but I think it's too long. You know, like you're going to be compromising a lot, and that's what you need to know about these zoom lenses, is how you're compromising. So you're going to lose out on resolution. So I'd rather try to keep it in a useful range. 70 millimeters is, you know, portrait. I've done weddings with this many weddings with this lens, and it's such a useful lens, and it still produces okay pictures. even on something this old, it produces okay pictures. So what I tell people, like, when you see these one lens that 16 to 300 millimeter lens, and it's like $1,000, don't waste your money. Buy maybe 2 lenses or whatever. I understand for the travel lens where you're limited what you could take, but even at that, like the more zoom you have, the more focal range you have, the worse it does in low light. Like light, even like in here, it's not that great. This will work okay if I take the lens hood off and maybe the filter. It'll let in enough light. I can get away without flashing here, but any movement, it gets blurry pretty fast. So just keep that in mind when you're buying your zoom lenses of what you're trading off. So what I say is get one good zoom lens that kind of does just a little bit of everything. And if you're going to get 2 good zoom lenses, like I say, the 18 to 70 mil, and then I got a 70 to 300 plus the macro feature. Again, that 18 to 300, the 70 to 300 is not the sharpest of. I don't get the sharpest of photos out of it, but I do get okay photos. But it has to be really good light because it's like a 5.6 to whatever lens. Like it's, really you have to have full daylight to get good. Where this, I can't remember what this. I think this is like a 2.8 to whatever. So it's not bad. I'll have to look at it. Might be a 2, whatever it is. So it's not bad. It's not bad. It's like a middle of the road lens, and it was priced accordingly. But what I plan on is finding some prime lenses for this. So what I want to do, like the problem is when you walk around with a 50 millimeter lens, that's when you see all the stuff you want to use your telephotos for. You know what I mean? When you're trying to shoot with a wide angle lens, that's when you see all these opportunities for like macro and stuff like that. So it's cool to have different lenses, but there's always a compromise, and you'll never get those backgrounds the same as you will with the bulked backgrounds you will with a zoom lens that you'll get with a prime lens, but you can get pretty good. If you play around with your f-stop, you can get pretty good. So that's what I found. Buy what's useful. Buy what you're going to use. Have like a really good all-around lens that you can live with, and then focus on building the specialty lenses on the side. And then that way, whenever you do want to do something really specific, you've got the lens for it, and you can ditch that thing for the other lens for the day, and really focus in on that good quality photos and stuff like that, where you have total control on how the picture is going to be coming out. Where when you don't have as much control and you're not sure where your subject's going to be, like I say, a wedding or something like that, it's good to have a candidate's photo where you can zoom in, zoom out, get the group shot, and then there's a couple here, you get the zoom in on them. You got the whole family, you can zoom out. And again, usually those photos are not required to have as much detail. But when you want to do the bride and groom, you pull this off and you put a nice prime lens on there, maybe an 85 or whatever. Doesn't matter what the lens is. Whatever you're going to choose, maybe a 60 mil, maybe a 50, 35 mil, whatever it's going to be. And you do it that way. So just something to consider with your zoom lenses. Don't get too caught up in the zoom, I know, because a lot of people, they spend a lot on a good camera, and they buy a lens that kind of hinders the camera. Like I'm not saying you have to take it super, super seriously and you have to have a bag full of lenses. You really don't need that many lenses if you know what you're going for and what works where. But with the telephotos and or zoom lenses, always keep in mind you're making a massive trade-off for the quality of the picture. And once you notice the barreling and the pin cushioning, and if you don't know what that is, you can just research it. It's basically your photos at the edges will be, like your straight lines will barrel, right? And then when you zoom out, they'll pin cushion. So you won't get perfect straight lines. Most of the time you can live with it. But if you were doing commercial stuff, you probably don't need a figure. You probably have already figured it out. But when you're learning, it's like once you see the darkened corners from the vignetting and stuff like that, and barrel distortion and the pin cushioning, you're going to say, okay, well, this is a good zoom lens versus that other one. And this one you can do, I did the research on it, and stuff like that. And there's people that will show you up against a card of what the lens will do, and you'll see why you pay $700 for one lens and maybe $300 or $200 for the other lens that are the same focal length. And once you see what you're getting, I say buy the better lens. Long term, short term, yeah, the cash hurts going out of the pocket, but long term, you'll be much happier with the photos. And how well does the lens do